Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, September 8th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. The Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, I'm going to be honest with you. There's no way to predict what the market is going to do today. I could make an equal case for the market going up. I could make an equal case for it going down. I could make an equal case for it going sideways. It's really, really hard to predict what the market is going to do. We could have a potential balancing area that we're forming in here, in which case we're opening right in the middle of a balance area. So that is very, very hard to predict. We had, a very large range yesterday, a lot of volatility. And we left a lot of weakness behind. And so we've got all of this weakness that needs to repair below, but then we also left weakness above. We left a poor high above that needs repair. Stepping back and looking at the daily, we bounced off that trend line from the lows. So yesterday we were able to break back above it. That counts as bouncing off of it. So that's, a bullish sign for continuation to the upside. But then, like I said, we got the potential balance area in here, in which case this sell-off in the overnight that we just had like an hour ago, that's the look above and fail of that balance area, which is bearish. So you could pretty much make an argument to go up or down today, or an argument just to grind around inside yesterday's range. So I'll be looking for much shorter term trades today. I'll likely be looking for, 5-10 point moves rather than the type of day where I would get in a trade and wait for it to play out on a larger scale. Just because, really anything is possible. We're opening inside the previous day's range. So the first thing that we're expecting when the market opens here in about 6 minutes is chop, for the market to grind up and down between support and resistance. And we'll kind of just have to play it, support node by support node. Does it push down to one? Does it find support? If it does, it's heading up to the resistance. If it doesn't, it's heading to the next support. If it finds support there, it heads up to the next resistance. If it doesn't, the next support, so on and so forth. We're going to have to kind of just take it one little area of interest to the next, and not really be looking for larger plays happening throughout the day, up or down, because I have a feeling that it's going to be very tricky to guess. And that just like I expected a lot of chop yesterday, I'm expecting a lot of chop today. As far as getting, super bullish or super bearish, if we repair the last of these weak references that we left behind yesterday, and then we do not find support, so I would say if we break 39.18, then I would definitely get bearish for further downside continuation. And same thing pretty much with yesterday's poor high. If we're able to get up there, repair that poor high, and then come back down and find support, I would be looking for continuation to the upside. But anywhere in between those two levels, anywhere in between 39.80 and 39.18, I just think it's going to be a tricky, tricky day, where it might make you think we're going to have a massive sell-off and then instantly find support and come back up, or vice versa, make you think it's heading to the moon and then instantly come back down. So prepare for chop, prepare for uncertainty. That is what I am predicting. Charles, that's not very helpful. It's not very helpful when you just say you don't know what's going to happen and the market's going to chop. Well, maybe that's what you need. Maybe you need to know that this morning isn't a good time to enter trades. You might be better off letting other short-term traders pick each other's pockets, whipsaw each other in and out of trades, drive each other mad for a few hours, and then you get in the trade. That's what happened yesterday, right? You waited for the C period to break that B period high. You had a couple of great opportunities for trend trades to the upside. So I have a feeling this is one of those mornings. Novice trader, are you sure the C low is weak? Yes, sir. That C low is just one TPO away from the overnight high from the previous night, and that makes it weak. The entire structure of yesterday was weak. we backfilled the first set of it with the single prints that needed backfilling. but still got those weak references in need of repair. Overnight inventory is net short, so we would expect a bit of a counter auction to the upside at the market open. But again, chop. So as soon as we hit some resistance, we'll come right back down. Good morning, Arthur. Chilling with Dylan. John Lash, Jeremy Jones, Nap, Philip Caffeine, Fighter Pilot, John Wakefield, John Lash. Powell's doing a Q&A. Yeah, he's talking as we speak. Nothing to scare markets, just the same old, same old. Chop fan, predicting an inability to predict. Exactly. I think I'll be able to make little guesses. You know, if we're finding support at this node, I'll be able to guess that we're going to get to this node, but beyond that, no idea. Arcaleon in the house. Johnny. Yoda. Asmi. Ronald. Jason. MW. Blue shirt. T-Wark. Hal. And yes, please smash that like button. Even before the market opens, showing some love. All right, the market is open. So we're expecting chop. The first target to the downside is the repair of the weak references at 48.50. Okay, well, there's that. And then we're looking for support around 39.43, just below. Then for the market to push up, looking for resistance. We can also consider this A period high weak because it's only one TPO from the opening price. So it's a sign they didn't quite get a chance to have any sort of auction to the upside. Okay, testing this first support around 43. Okay, we're going to test half back here at 39.50 for resistance. If we pass right back through it, then we just expect chop. But if we do get resistance here, we look for another push lower. Okay, testing that now. Okay, pushing right through it means we're going to get more chop. So now we're looking for resistance above. All right, so once again, testing this support. Looking for continued chop. We're in a chop zone. They're chopping it up. Mateus, every time you guys mention a CeeLo, my head goes to CeeLo Green. Yeah, I've never heard of that one, but everybody always thinks of J-Lo when I say J-Lo. When I'm like, J-Lo is weak. They're like, I don't know. She looks pretty good. To which my brain goes, brunch. All right, well, we got new selling, so it looks like this support is going to break. Next support is down around 39.35. John Keel, I'm feeling gravity is taking hold of me. I know that song. Mateus says, this week I think I learned I should only trade my setups. Yesterday I got chopped up and missed the setup. Yeah, that's one of the most annoying things too. Is like when you see something bigger picture happening, and then you get into a trade, and then like as soon as it starts to go your way, you move your stop above entry, then they come back down and they stop you out, and then it still goes where you thought it was going to go. That is so frustrating. And yesterday was a day primed to do that over and over again. All right, well, that low is a very good looking low to me. We got good taper on it. So that doesn't mean it's going to be the low of the day by any means, but just that if it was, it would be a good low. So let's see how the market now reacts to some resistance. Oof, resistance at the halfback is not good. That's one of the easiest ways to read when you're in a chop zone like this first thing in the morning is how does it react when it gets back to that halfback? If it just keeps passing through it, then you know the chop's going to continue. But when it gets up there and it can't, then you know it needs to pull down looking for the next support. They can't quite do it, Captain. They don't have the power. Not yet. Well, somebody just covered their shorts. All right, so next resistance above is around 39.66. Okay, pushing up into that resistance now. Huh. Okay. Well, we're pushing through that resistance. So that's a little bit bullish to see. It's not buyable, though. This is still short covering and FOMO buying. So they need a pullback, but it's worth looking for support once they do. Probably right around the halfback opening price area in here. Mateus, maybe Powell didn't crash it, so resume the daily trend line bounce play. It could be, like I said, they're not going to get me confident, though, till they repair yesterday's poor high and then get new buyers. I could see us spending all day today just grinding around inside yesterday's range. All right, so we have support here at 66. That should be enough to get us up here to test the resistance around 76. Okay, so once again, pushing into some resistance. Now the question is, can 36.69, 39.70 area, can this now act as support for continuation? Or do we pass back through it once we come down? Man, they cannot keep those ticks above the zero line. Come on, buyers. You can do it. All right, that support has me bullish to test yesterday's VPOC up at 39.81 and then monitor for continuation higher from there. Can we push through that level and then head up and repair yesterday's poor high? Of course, if the market pulls back down below 39.66, my thesis will be wrong and we will just still be in a chop zone. But it looks to me like the buyers are trying to take control here. So I'm going to give them a chance. Macho. Macho. Do you think the market cares about what Powell said this morning? Um, I don't really know. I only watched the first couple minutes of it, but it seemed like it wasn't one of those speeches where, he's telling us something new that we need to know about a change in their viewpoint. It was just a conversation. So I don't suspect it should have any effect. But the tricky thing is you got to remember there's always bots, right? There's a set of computers that are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're scanning Google all day, every day, searching titles of articles that are coming out, and they're making buy and sell decisions all on their own. So if Powell says something and somebody writes something about it online, a bot can read it and react to it. I mean, there's always going to be some kind of reaction. All right, well, it looks like my bullish thesis might be disproven here. The bulls should be able to hold this support if we're going to head up through that volume point of control at 81. Mark, I will make a bot that makes tons of headlines in my favor. Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. It's called CNBC. It's an entire network that exists so that the wealthy can push their propaganda on the rest of us. Ugh, look at those ticks. Just nothing but indecision. Nope. Back to neutral. Man. So obviously the lack of support there means that we are still in a chop zone. There is no leadership in this market yet. So as always, we're looking to head back down, test the next support. Can it hold? That'll be the half back at 39.61. And then if that doesn't hold, back down to 39.50. All right, testing that half back now. Johnny, do you have a recommended business network that you listen or subscribe to? Not really. I mean, I listen to CNBC and, Fox Business and Bloomberg, same ones as everybody else. I just listen to them very skeptically. You know what I mean? When I see like somebody who runs like a giant hedge fund or, something like that, somebody who manages very, very large sums of money, and they go on there and they're like, ooh, we like this company. We're looking at such and such a ticker symbol. We think, over the next 6 months, it's going to blah, blah, blah. I just always assume that stock's going to pump for the next few days and then dump soon after, as they often use the network to unload their shares on retail. But you still got to watch. I mean, they're still there. That's where the conversations happen, unfortunately. Mark, if no business wants to be done at yesterday's volume point of control, I think we got nowhere else to go but down. I disagree. I mean, so you would think of yesterday's volume point of control as like one more potential magnet kind of tugging at price. But what we have here is just uncertainty. No one's in charge yet. Both the buyers and the sellers are just guessing that the market's going to go up or down. So I wouldn't say just because it can't go up, it has to go down. I would say it has to just keep going, as ridiculous as this sounds. It just has to keep going up and down like this. It just has to keep chopping and chopping and chopping until it picks a direction, until someone wins. There are more buyers or there are more sellers eventually. And unfortunately, we're just in that wait zone where it is extremely difficult to predict who's going to win. Which is why I said, when this support broke right here, you could have high confidence we were going to head down and test the next support, which was the halfback. And then when we found support there, you could have confidence we're going to head back up and test that resistance once again. But other than those little moves in between support and resistance, it's just really impossible to predict this. And so we just have to wait. Mark, is halfback the previous day's mid? It's the current mid. So it's 50% from the high and the low of the current day's range right here. You can see that little white line. That is halfback. And you can think about it like a 50% retrace, like a Fibonacci 50% retrace. If market participants are able to see the market move all the way from here up to here, this to them is a fire sale. This is half off. This is a great deal. If the market's worth this much, man, I'm buying it on sale here. 50% off sale. And so they love to step in right there. The same way if that shop owner puts up a sign, Labor Day weekend, everything's 50% off. Guess what? People are going to walk in and buy stuff. It's just too good of a deal. Ben, from experience, does a bull market normally pick a direction at open and run while a bear market seems to chop as people are unsure, but eventually it will pick a direction? I mean, you're talking about, it all depends on the time frame, right? If you're a day trader, yes, most of the time, if the market wants to go higher today, it'll just start. It'll open, it'll start trending higher, and then from the moment it starts trending higher, which is that's why we have these rules, right? That's why we say whichever direction we break of the initial balance, we're likely to get continuation, because that is what normally happens. If, the first hour of the day, the market grinds around and then that C period breaks that A period high, the odds are it's going to keep going up until it's done. Once it starts to trend, it's going to keep trending until it's done, at least for the day. And vice versa. What we had yesterday, where it started trending, then it got cessation, then it immediately started trending again, that's much less frequent. That's very rare that happens. But if you're talking about on a longer term basis, I would say when the market is bullish, it moves a little bit easier, a little bit more fluidly, because the market is always kind of net long. In general, people are always kind of bullish on stocks. So when that's the momentum of the market, it's a little bit easier for it to kind of, smoothly move in that direction. But intraday is a very different game than over the daily. And so I would say intraday, whether it's going up or down, it doesn't matter. You treat both trends exactly the same. Fubo looks ready to run. Fubo might go crazy here again, heavily shorted. Let me guess. Is Fubo the meme stock of the day? Ben, I guess psychological wise, people, retail, are more likely to FOMO and jump on a green day than a red day. Well, no, it's the opposite, right? It's like when they're trading out of fear, they instantly get out, and when they're trading out of greed, they have to be convinced, right? That's why they say it goes upstairs and down an elevator. Ding! It's because on the way up, you got to convince more and more and more people to go long. Whereas on the way down, they all instantly panic and it just drops like a brick. So it's almost like on the down days, they've already gone short or exited their longs. J Trader FUBAR. Meme stocks are FUBAR. All right, well, there is the test of yesterday's volume point of control. And once again, we're right in some resistance here, so looking for a pullback. This does increase the odds that they're going to try to head up there and repair that poor high from yesterday. So you might consider buying support on a pullback with a tight stop. Or maybe you won't get your chance. Johnny Charles, you called 3981 the VPOC, but it showed that the VPOC was reflected the POC of the overnight TPO. Am I wrong? Don't understand. No, so this POC that you see in the overnight right here, that's the time point of control for the overnight. So that's where the overnight spent the most time. The level that I had marked, which was coincidentally just one tick below it, that's just a pure coincidence, was the level where the highest volume traded yesterday. So intraday, it's the time point of control that I'm watching. So if it were rotational right now, I'd be watching today's time point of control. But then once the day is done and we move on to the next day, then wherever the most volume traded becomes more important. So if you're looking at a previous day's point of control as a potential target for a trade to get to it, it would be the volume, not time. Just making it extra confusing, calling them both point of control. Hal, is the volume point of control of any value 2 or 3 days ago? Yeah. When it has not been retested. So what's very common is, the market's moving. Let's say it's moving higher each day. That's one day. That's another day. That's another day. It is common that, let's say this was the volume point of control. This was the volume point of control. This was the volume point of control. It's very common that the next day it'll come down and at least just test that level. Right? It'll come down and just test it. If it doesn't, let's say the next day prints and it starts moving higher and you have one of those points of control that has not been tested again, well, that's what they call a naked point of control, or a virgin point of control. Means the same thing. It just means that another daily candle didn't come back and test it. That is still a reference to consider. Now, it's not like a magnet. It's not like like a weak reference pulls at price. That doesn't mean anything. It just means if the market is heading there, right, and you're looking, where do I take profits? A good level is that previous volume point of control, because it just has a high probability that the market will at least get to it. What happens once it gets there, who knows? So yeah, if it's untested from a previous day, it's worth keeping track of, purely as a target when you're heading in that direction. Johnny, didn't know that. Would that be a good level to enter a trade? No. Like I said, there are levels that are good for entering trades. That's a level that you think is going to act as support or resistance, right? Meaning that when the market gets there, it's going to stop and start going the other way. And then there are levels that are good as targets, where you're like, I think the market's going to get to this level, but I don't know what's going to happen afterward. So another great example of that is the poor high. Right? You could buy this support, or you could have a minute ago. You could have bought that support with a tight stop, looking to get back up to this poor high. But once you get up there, you wouldn't want to instantly go long up here or instantly go short up here because you don't know what's going to happen. We could get up there, come back down, find support, and then get continuation, or we could poke up there, fail, and pull right back down. When you get back to here, you don't know. You just know that there's a high probability we're going to go from here to here. Does that make sense? So some things are just levels that we watch as a target, and some things are levels that we watch as potential support or resistance. Targets, you exit a trade. Support or resistance, you enter. All right, and with that, I shall bid you all farewell. I would say I'm feeling a little bit bullish. Price action feels bullish, but the internals just still feel totally neutral. They're giving us nothing. So I'm not quite bullish enough to switch the banner yet. But I do think we want to repair this poor high. And if we can find support up there, if we can push up there, come back down and bring in new buyers at yesterday's high, that would be very, very bullish for continuation to the upside. We would also be one time framing higher at that point. So as long as the C period stays above the B period, you can look for continuation and so on and so forth throughout the rest of the day. But until then, it's just still very uncertain here. So I think poor high is in play, but I don't know beyond that. If you'd like to find out what I think, you could always join the brigade, and I'll tell you when we get there. It only costs $10 a month. And you can listen to me talk all day, every day. With that, I bid you all farewell, and I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow morning. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.